Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1.5 EU Championship. We're today for the sprint race event in Silverstone. We've currently got one-shot qualifying going ahead, and it is Yanaldi and Elwain competing for pole position. Yarek not too far behind. They've got experience from yesterday as well as they travel through Maggots and Beckett's down the final straight before the final few corners, and it looks good for Yanaldi. The podium and pole sitter previously. This is of course sprint though, and it is a bit different. One shot, one opportunity to get that pole time. It's Elway who drops down the order. Their Stowe corner has gone horribly and they might have even been disqualified. It's Yellowwick now to P2, but Yanaldi will not be contested. A 26-4. Yellowwick, Isaac on track, and Terence in P4. That is Chuchus getting disqualified from the session. Wayne did get the lap in, but must have had a terrible time at Stowe corner. And then it is going to be Petri at the back of the pack having an issue elsewhere in the lap somewhere. So that is a brilliant job done by Yanaldi. They've had some brilliant form this season, but just not quite had the fortune. They are now going to give themselves the best shot at winning this sprint race. Yellowwick, the same goes. It's Isaac on track in P3, who's looking for a better result after the DNF in Belgium. They get two opportunities to go for glory here. We'll see you in a bit. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn one in the intermediate conditions? It's a brilliant start from Yanaldi. It's going to be single file for the top four here in turn one, but it's not going to be a bit further behind. It's still side by side. Will we get Isaac on track on the inside line? No, we will not. Yes, we will. Now to the outside, they'll have it. Can they open up the steering? The Red Bull goes off. That's Elwain, who's actually making their way up the order past the Ferrari. Are we going to see Terence try and come through as well as they're going left and right, skidding across the circuit? It's Yellowwick who now tries to take back P2, but late on the brakes, the McLaren goes and will steal it away. Terence, the championship challenger, looking to try and do the same thing, and look at the racecraft that they're performing out on track, opening that steering, opening the grip up. But it's still going to be the inside line for the Sauber. They should have it. It's going to be tight. It's a drag race to Kopp's corner. That was always going to happen. But going off the circuit, that's going to be a bit of a concern there for Yellowwick, and might have even been a track limit if they're not careful. Yanaldi gets away by 9/10 in the opening few corners. Elwain catching up nicely to their teammate already. That is a brilliant start for the Brit there. Cravato in P6, we've got Simon S in P7, and then Petri on debut in P8, and we've got Chuchus in P9 a little bit further behind. These tricky intermediate conditions, the circuit does look fairly dry, but it is just going to be wet the entire way through, and I don't see why you'd need to make a pit stop even on this lap of the race. It's just not going to be worth it. These tyres will be good to go to the end. It's all equal on the green stuff, as you can see. The green stuff meaning that intermediate tyre. Slicks aren't recommended still. I don't see it ever coming a possibility. It is going to be off the circuit, almost going the Sauber car. There's a bit of a wheel bang between the two. As Terence looks to go for the move, they have the inside line, and this surely should be the advantage, but in a straight line, they just don't have it. Their teammate is going to capitalise as they try and take an opportunity. Oh, that's not an opportunity on the inside there. Could have ended it all with their teammate. That would have been absolutely tragic. Terence is still looking quick, but it's a little bit too late because Isaac on track and Yunoldi are running away with it up in P1 and P2. Now, we have seen Terence and Elwain race each other a fair few times this season. They had a brilliant battle back in Belgium. Beforehand, it's been pretty civil, but that move there from Elwain, you could see that they were going for a bit of fire. They were looking for that move at all costs. And they are ahead in the championship, so they do want to seem to take it all the way on their own. Terence, track position and the momentum from Belgium winning the race is going to be strong and not easy to tackle. We've got Yellowek, who has a race distance under their belt from yesterday. They're currently P3 and they've also done a lot of driving in that wet condition, so they're going to be strong. The experience from Terence should be very useful. However, Isaac on track now, losing 2 seconds to Yunoldi, as Yunoldi is on their own regarding pace. They just can't be competed with. I'm just going to stop there. They're pretty good. We continue. The closest battle is what we're seeing right now. We've also got the Ferrari with pressure from both Racing Bulls directly behind, as Simon S and Petri are going to try and have a go. But in the wet conditions, it's one thing to catch up to another car, it's another thing to overtake. It's even in the dry, another thing to overtake. Around Silverstone as well, a slipstream hungry circuit. But when it becomes wet, you can't just outbrake the car in front of you, because you will probably end up crashing. That's what you've got to look out for. It's really tough stuff here in the greasy conditions. And although they run different liveries, you can see the two Red Bulls are teammates. The traditional Red Bull livery, followed by the Japan-inspired livery from Terence. The man from Hong Kong, currently just over 10 points away from their teammate in the championship. But taking that win. Taking 2 wins this season, even with Elwain. But Elwain's got a 100% podium rate. Whereas Terence had a P9 back in Barcelona. A little bit tricky, and that opens the door. It's going to be so tight on the exit, though. That was never really going to be a move, but still pressure's being put on, and actually put on themselves, as Elwain goes off the circuit and loses tenths of a second, as they got a bit too excited, it seems. And the pressure, not only for the defending driver, but the attacking driver is building. And that is Yellowek also making a big mistake at an interesting place of the circuit. You don't usually see a car going off the track at that part. But they have had this pressure throughout. We do see the two Racing Bulls switching positions as they're super close on track right now, pushing each other through. Maggots and Beckett's. Will we see any kind of move from Terence in P4 on the Sauber car? I don't think it's going to be possible. In the tow, they're not even catching enough, really. Petri cannot do anything about Simon there. Oh, into the braking, though. We could see Terence go for the move. They try and fake, but that was really, really complicated to do anything. A switchback, though, is possible, but parking it on the apex. Yellowek goes for a very risky move, and Terence is not going to be happy. They could not find a way through, and they even made a bit of contact with the rear end of that Sauber. And here comes their teammate Elwain wants to have a go, but they just can't find a way through, as they almost found a way into the back of their teammate. That would have been incredibly difficult to explain, and not really. Oh, that's not going to work. That is not going to work. That's as tight as it gets here in racing. And that is the final invitation for Elwain on the inside line. They are going to release their brakes, and that's probably going to be the move done. No. And back's Terence. And they do get there. A switchback is available though for Elwain. Would they get the run to Copse Corner? Would they be willing to use the battery all the way? I don't think so. No, I'm wrong. They will give it a quick look, but they do back out. Terence goes wide, and here it is. We continue to get this racing. It's now Maggots and Beckett's, and it is Elwain who is in front. They did not give up. They spotted the opportunity, and they've sent it very hard and got the job done. It's now Yellowegg, the next car. Not as good as it used to be, Selkin, but do try. Do try. Thank you for the comments. Lap 6 out of 9. Yinoldi is nowhere to be seen. Other track in a similar scenario. Yellowegg has all the pressure, all the limelight on them from the two teammates directly behind. But to be honest, Terence and Elwain haven't exactly been working together. They've been fighting each other out on track. That is only a benefit to Yellowegg, although they've now got the next driver to deal with. No, yeah, it is right. The intermediate tyres are going to be overheating now, especially the rear end, as you get this tricky condition. The way you have to drive the F1.25 game to go fast is to flick the car through the corners. We're going to see another attempt at an overtake into Copse, Maggots and Beckett's. That's not going to work. That is not going to work. You have to be almost ahead to even consider it. Oh, that is so tricky. Those rears really are cooking, aren't they? Another attempt at looking for a run, but it's going to have to be the chicane and on the brakes if they want to go for it. Can they get the drive up the corner? They can. They can just about keep it in a straight line, but so can Yellowegg, and they will have to wait behind. Cravato's not too far away visually. You can see them right there, but 3 seconds seems like a very tall order. In the wet conditions, though, maybe 3 seconds isn't that much. Yellowegg has done a fantastic job. They've got about 2 laps remaining to try and take it to the end, as you see Elwain drifting out the final corner, or it was the final corner that we saw them drive through, and drifting on entry as well almost. It just seems like a sliding car all the way through. Once again opportunistic on the inside line, but it's not going to be a door that opens easily, if at all. Oh, that is disaster. It struck, and here comes Terence, who's not actually close enough to make a move. But that is going to be a free opportunity for Yellowegg to secure this P2. And if Terence can really keep the momentum, they might be able to get this move back from earlier on when they lost it to Elwain, who has had a brilliant charge through the field. Yellowegg, though, doesn't need to push too much, but they do make a mistake, and that is going to be now Elwain back in the game. In these final stages, the tyres are unpredictable. You're trying to drive the race as you have been for so many laps. It suddenly changes and you can't do anything consistently. That's what you're seeing, and that's how the struggles go, and it's how it's ended up back in the same situation, but it really doesn't tell you the story, does it? And now Cravato has gained an entire second out of all of that. And could we see them having a bite at the cherry in the final lap? That would be one hell of an effort. Very unlikely, but we can't rule it out. Well, we do have to say that Terence is on a default setup, so considering all of this, they're doing a very good job. That would explain why they didn't quite have the speed in the straight line. They are doing a very good job, and it's once again for the second time Elwain having the same issue at Copse Corner, and this time Terence is close enough to make the move. That is a brilliant spectacle to see for the driver from Hong Kong, and it will bring the championship just 1 point closer. But now Elwain has got to find another way through in one lap, and one lap only. Terence has an opportunity to try and get Yellowegg and get that podium here in the sprint race, which is going to be a tall order. Someone with that default setup. Maybe it's just helped them a little bit with the tyres. It might have just. And we've got Cravato, who's got not too much battery, but a lot closer in the last few laps. And they're almost within 1 second. Shows that they could have some good pace in the second phase of this event when we get to the main qualifying and race. The battle continues as Yellowegg has got to put that pressure on. The P3, this is 10 seconds ahead of Isaac on track as Yinoldi, dominating this race today. And then it's another 4 seconds to this battle here as Yellowegg looking to be likely crowned the last spot on the podium. And we'll have a quick look in as Yinoldi drives the car through the final few corners, and they will take this brilliant victory here in Silverstone. Back to the battle though, as Isaac on track will do a similar thing. Here it is, Terence final opportunity, final look at making that move, blasting the battery down the straight. They've saved some. They're saving some battery for the final chicane as they're going to get the drive out the corner. Would they be able to brake late? No, they will not be able to do it. It's going to be Yellowegg. No, it's not. It's going to change. I don't believe it. He's parked it on the apex once again. And that's exactly what you need to do. Wow. That is as close as it will get. Terence has driven a fantastic race, but it's just never worked out. Considering their circumstances, a P4 is not too bad, and 1 position ahead of their main rival is also a benefit. Yinoldi, though, gaining 3 points on Terence is going to be everything they could have asked for in that race. Yinoldi now on 59 points in the championship. Whereas we see, actually I say 59, 43, so then that is going to be 51. 51 points in the championship, I believe. As we get Chuchis to cross the line in the end, it is going to be Cravato in P6, Simon S in P7, and Petra on debut will score a point. There it is, the sprint race is done. It's Yinoldi on P1 with the fastest lap in a pole position. It's Isaac on track in P2 and Yellowegg in P3. We've got Terence, Elwain, Cravato, Simon S, Petri and Chuchis a little bit further behind. That is everything for the race director, and we'll be back in about 10-15 minutes for the main qualifying session. We'll see you in a bit. Hello everyone and welcome back to the LSI F1.5 EU Championship. The Great British Grand Prix is underway as we finally have the main qualifying and main race event upon us. We've currently got 25.9 from Yellowek, who is on pole position. Terence P2, Yinaldi in P3. Yinaldi doing a lot of laps on the same compound tyre, getting some experience in the dry conditions, it would seem. And it's an interesting tactic which I haven't seen for a long time. We've got Elwain in P4, Cravato in P5, who was slowly getting used to the tricky conditions in the wet weather scenario. But now they get a dry qualifying session and a dry race to enjoy for the rest of the evening. They should have a bit more confidence with. Now, after that sprint race event, we have a 14-point gap between the two teammates for the title fight, and we see a 32-point gap between Yinaldi and P1 in the championship. Still quite big, but it has changed. Yinaldi getting that win, Isaac on track getting that P2 there in the sprint race, Yellowek in P3, Terence, Elwin, then Cravato. And then it was, I believe, Simon S. Petrie, then Chuchus. And we see a grid that is, well, we've got a brand new setup because of the dry conditions. And also, oh, that is rough, with Terence having their setup fully applied this time around after they unfortunately had a bit of a technical issue and weren't able to apply their proper setup fully for the sprint race. Just begins the lap. We'll go on board with Petrie, who will begin their third lap on circuit. They've not got enough battery, so this won't be an improvement. We go back to Chuchus, who heads through the first corner now. The Malaysian driver going down into the first chicane, trying to get that car to the right hand side before peeling it back to the left, slightly missing the apex. Back on the throttle, up the gears, DRS open, and down the straight. A moment to relax as the bumpiness does get you a little bit, and then sending it into the fast left-hander, absolutely thrilling when you do get there. Trying to bleed off the brakes in the following corners, and dart your way to the outside, avoiding the gravel trap on the left, minimising track distance on the right, and prepare yourself for Copse Corner, which can be very tricky on track limits if you get it wrong, especially a few years ago back in F1 2021 and 2022 and 2020 as well, and everything before that. It wasn't so flat. That was a tricky corner there for Chuchus as they've still gained half a second on their previous best, which was a bit problematic. 2.5 minutes on the clock, and we'll start to see a few of the front runners come out very shortly. The final chicane is upon the Mercedes driver as they hurtle over the curbs, and they dart to the line finally, almost losing it, going off track. Is that going to be an improvement? I think it was just about, as they do get the improvement. Apologies for the squeaky chair. They do get the improvement, but that was very close, and I haven't seen that in a while. A car go off and still set the lap time, but I guess that's what you can do in the F1 game. You're able to set the lap time. We've got everybody going out on track in the final moments here. Still waiting to see one of the Red Bulls, actually, and one of the Racing Bulls. Here comes the second Red Bull of Elwain. But it's going to be Petrie, who's still in the pit lane, trying to get those new fresh tyres on, and then we'll get ready for the final run in qualifying, although they are running out of time and it might be game over for their session. We'll see Simon S begin or actually ends their final lap of the session. What's it going to be? It's going to be ahead of their teammate at 27.5, a few tenths away from Isaac on track there. It's qualifying done for Simon S. Good to see them back on track here today. Yellowek will be the next car to go again. Petri will not set another lap in this session. So P7, P8 and P9 are decided, as Chuchus has already set their lap as well. It's all about P1 to P6, who are going to set their laps consecutively. Really, Yellowek on pole position as it stands, a 25.930 with the confidence from a brilliant defensive run in the sprint. Here they go, open up the lap. Bit of a heavy hit on the curb there, which is going to be quite difficult. A very heavy hit, I should say. It's going to scrub their speed off, but luckily they got a corner that came up pretty quickly, so they were able to kind of dissipate that scrub speed and get through the rest of the lap. As they go through the first sector, we'll find out at the end of the straight where they're looking to be, and it's going to be a tenth and a half down. That's a pretty difficult one to take. It's not a bad lap at all to set, so a big bit of oversteer, and it's not coming together for them at all. We'll go on board with Unaldi for the second sector and see what they're looking like time-wise, as they currently need about 5 tenths to get to Yellowek. They need to find a massive margin to actually beat the Sauber driver, the winner from the sprint race. We know that they've got pace, but can they convert it? Through Maggots and Beckett's on exit of Chapel, we cross the next sector line, and it's going to be a 4-tenth improvement. This is it. It's possible. Yanordi is going for provisional pole position. Has there been an improvement from Yellowek? Are they going to dive into the pit lane? They will go into the pit lane. It's going to be the Aston Martin up next. What can they do in the final chicane? It looks strong. Is it looking tidy? It is. Across the line, it's going to be... Oh, they've just missed out. They've just missed out. Cravato across the line as well. What can they do? They will not be able to get there in the end, but they do jump ahead of Elwain. It's Terrence to pole position at 25.824. Elwain is going to go up next as Isaac on track crosses the line for P5. Elwain all over the place, finding it really difficult to drive the ball to the line, and they go P5. They jump back ahead of the McLaren, but no further. Terrence steals it away in the final moments. Absolutely perfect, and they have definitely got the right setup on the car now. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. One race win 2 weeks ago in Belgium. Another circuit that they've won twice at. And now they're going to try and take their first victory in Silverstone. Terrence, pole position. It's Yellowek in P2 and Yanaldi in P3. The race director is on your screen now. And we'll get ready for the main race. We'll see you in a bit. P1 to P3, absolutely tiny margins. I cannot wait. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn one? Terence on the outside line. Yellow, it can't get there. It's 3 wide into the first corner. Wow, absolutely incredible. Terence will hold on. Yinoldi's jumped off the line. Absolutely perfect. And it's Yellowek who has some pressure from Elwayne. It's side by side between the Ferrari and the McLaren. It's going to be tight at the apex. There's contact and there's momentum lost. As here comes Simon S around the outside. They're not going to get there. They back out. It's Judas and P8 as Petri had a difficult start. You can see in the background they were slightly ghosted for a second, but they're back on track and everybody is running in order quite nicely. We're going to get everything on the screen whilst we wait for the next few corners to come up, and we've got some soft tyre runners. Absolutely spectacular. I did not believe that would be the case, but it is. We see some more battling. We see Petri for the inside line as they take the move on. Oh, both of them go off the circuit. They take the move. They eventually sort themselves out, but they've got to try and keep it on the circuit if they want to stay with the pack, who are already pacing off into the distance. Yinoldi on that soft tyre. They've got to get things going very quickly, as they've got not much choice in this strategy. A 2-stop is their call, and I believe it's possible to do a 2-stop around this circuit, but I am almost certain that this man right here is going to try and do a 1-stop. They're starting on the medium. They've got the pole position. They're holding on to that pole position with that medium tyre, and they're keeping their front wing safe. Yinoldi and Terence have come together in the past, and they did so back in Belgium, although it didn't stop Terence from eventually winning that race. So far so good. Yellowek is getting pressure from Elwayne in the dry conditions. The championship leader is showing why they are the championship leader. They had some difficulties in the rain. They're once again looking for the inside line. At turn 7 or 8, I think that's turn 7. It's a risky one. It's a very risky one to do it at turn 7. It's not impossible, but it has to go really, really right. And it doesn't always do that. They've tried it a few times. They're trying to get it to work. If it does work, it can be very effective, to be fair to them. So I can see why they want to get it done. And they're once again chasing down the straight. We're actually going to see the Ferrari push for the move, and they do go to the inside line. Cravato making a lovely overtake and stow corner on the DRS, and now they will follow the train up ahead. The Simon S tries to catch up to the train, but those tyres are not going to get any easier in this race. A mix of softs and mediums in front. Well, I say a mix, you know, these are the only soft tyre runner in this front group of cars. And no overtaking into turn 3, although that is Isaac on track very close behind. They are all following each other in single file. Will we see Isaac on track try and get that move back? I'm not entirely convinced, but they were close for a second. Surely we're going to see Elwayne try and push for the move on Yellowek in a matter of laps time. It looked like it was going to happen, but we haven't seen it in about a lap. One lap has only passed, but it feels like it could be an age as these guys think about the hardship of this game with dirty air and mind games. That's exactly what you encounter, and that's why you can't always go for an overtaking opportunity. I guess also difficult corners could be a factor. They have to wait behind for now. Do not believe it is on its way. It's very much on its way. Now Terence continues to control the pace despite the soft tyres sat right behind them. You know, these tyres are going to start to find their braking point. As you can see from Sones and Petri and Chuchus, the soft tyre runners run away. Sorry, the medium tyre runners run away in a DRS train. That's just how powerful it is around Silverstone. The two DRS zones evenly split throughout the circuit, along with a few other straight sections on the circuit, just means that you can really abuse slipstream. And if you have it from a car ahead, it's almost impossible from the car behind to actually overtake you. Terrence continues. They know how to win a Grand Prix now. They've got enough that I can't count each of them. So they don't have an excuse in this P1 position. They've got all the experience they need, and actually last race in Belgium they surpassed the most points scored in F1.5 from Gilly, the legend. And now, if you consider in a points system, Terrence is the most successful LSI F1.5 driver. There's no title to their name just yet. They look to change that this season. Ginoldi and Elwain looking to do something about that, and Yellowek with the great improvements that they're making is trying to do the same thing, and once again we see it from Elwain, but it's worked this time. Absolutely brilliant. They're on the inside line, they have the pace, and they will take the corner. What is Yellowek doing? I do not believe it. There it is. Absolutely spectacular stuff. They tried to turn into the corner, and that was always going to be very risky. It was a risk that they took, and it did not work out. They wanted to try and go side by side around the outside in Cop's corner, which is a sentence that I didn't think I'd say. It didn't work, and Erwin got the move regardless. I'm just thankful that we didn't have any big problems. Now, the top three changes. It's no longer Yellowek, it's a Red Bull sandwich with an Aston Martin for a filling. There we are indeed. And that wasn't intentional, by the way. That quote came out all on its own. Just a natural reaction. You just can't predict what's going to happen in league racing. Currently, the top five now are running away with it, and you can see it's so tough. Isaac on track. Up front in the sprint race just hasn't been able to match it here in the main race. And they're pushing with that battery. Simon S is putting on the burners and trying to put some pressure on that McLaren, despite being on the more problematic tyre at this stage of the race. We are expecting to see a two-stop from many, but the occasional one-stop is going to creep in, I believe. We see a pit stop already. That's Petri in the lane. A very long old pit lane, 30 seconds more or less we're looking at. They do cross the line and start lap 7. But that new compound will be on their car. What's it going to be? A medium tyre, so they're doing a hard two-stop strategy. They have no choice now other than to do so. Lap 7 out of 26. And we continue racing with Terrence up front. 9 tenths ahead now. Ginoldi's really feeling it as well. That soft tyre is going. Simon's still doing a good job at maintaining pace of Isaac, all things considered. But that's 1.1 seconds. Yanaldi's lost it. It's time to shine for Elwayne. They have to make this move if they want to stay with Terence, but they've understeered at Chapel Corner. They go off the circuit, and it's all going to be over. Yellowek's not close enough to capitalise, and Terence has got a golden opportunity to run away with this victory on lap 7 of the Grand Prix. Absolutely incredible. Yanaldi dives into the pit lane, and now all of a sudden that gap is even bigger. I do not believe what I'm seeing. A mistake in the crucial moment. Elwayne now sees that gap go to 1.6 seconds. They were casually in the DRS train a lap ago, and now it's 2.1 seconds. They are away from their teammate, who was just flying up front. And knowing that they have the trait that they do with the tyres, they're only going to gain more and more the longer the stint goes on. Has Elwayne just lost this race, or are we talking about a decider way too early? It's only lap 8 out of 26. A whole long way to go. Cravato driving very well in this position. Their second race in LSI, I believe. Slowly looking to make a name for themselves as they find themselves racing the front runners almost immediately. As they slowly got embedded into the weekend with the sprint race. They get that refresher, that fresh start. There it is. Elwayne into the pit lane, reacting to what's going on around them. A 10-second time penalty as they go a bit too hot. Oh, no, no, no. What a disaster. Isaac on track doing the same thing. It is a slower pit lane here at Silverstone. You have to put the brakes on a little bit more, and it catches everyone out. And the championship goes even more crazy. It's the hard tyre for Elwayne. Are they looking for the one stop anyway? Well, they've tried to go for this early stop. Terence now has 3.5 seconds to the rest of the field. We see Yellowek and Cravato stay out on track, but the rival that they were racing just a few moments ago now has 10 seconds to their name. Yanaldi extends their gap to 2.1 seconds now. They're on that medium tyre. They're going for the two-stop strategy. So they're going to have to gain like crazy. Yanaldi has to push with all their might, otherwise they're not going to be able to do anything in this race. The benefit that they have now is that there's going to be a 10-second time penalty to Elwayne, but they still have to worry about the rest of the field. Effectively, what we're looking at here for Yanaldi is qualifying laps all the way to the flag, and they've got to hope that either a safety car saves them at the right moment, or punctures plague the rest of the grid in the final stages. Terence is also into the pit lane. We see Yellowek and Cravato stay out. Yellowek will inherit the lead, but in dramatic fashion as they squiggle over the line. Cravato might try and take that away for glory if they can. Terence slowly crawls through the pit lane as Yanaldi roars their way around the final corner and is going to look at taking that lead if they can. The undercut will be real. The hard tyre for Terence. Yanaldi charges through. Will they get there? Terence has really done a very good job to sit directly behind the Aston Martin, I will say. And they have overcut their teammate massively just to rub it in. What a disastrous pit lane entry for Elwayne. And now they're 1 or 2 seconds behind their teammate as well on an undercut. I do feel for Elwayne, the championship leader is not having the best of days right now. The top two stay as they are, and they don't make any switches, but we could see Cravato change that. ERS and DRS is available. They're using the battery. They're looking for the move. There wasn't any battery, it looked like, on the exit of the corner for Yellowick, but they were just turning their battery off and saving. Both of them have missed that apex. Surely the tyres are dead and it's time to go into the pit lane, almost faking out. It was Yellowick who slows down to the pit lane, and Cravato, looking like they were going to roll it in, suddenly broke as they realised, hang on a minute, I need to slow down a bit more. They make it safely into that pit lane. They get the new tyres on, and we see Yanaldi with Terence make their way through the final corner too. And where will we see them? They're going to jump way in front of the Ferrari and the Sauber car. That is going to be a massive, massive, massive overcut for the rest of the field. Just one lap difference, and we're even going to see Isaac on track actually get a bit of the fight as well. It's going to be side by side almost. It's going to be the overtake, and the McLaren is in the mix. It will be a great benefit to Cravato and Yellowick, as they shouldn't need to worry about going for a second stop at this stage. It's not impossible that Elway might need it, although unlikely. But Yanaldi definitely is going to go for a second stop. And with Terence currently staying within the DRS range, that is not good news for the Aston. Now we see Isaac on track join us once again for a battle. Going off the circuit in the dirty air, it's tough to take for sure. But they should have the warm and sticky tyres. And they might even look for a move into Stowe Corner. Although the battery is a bit more problematic, so I don't see why they would do it. They're winning 1.5 seconds away. Just watching their teammate up in front. No overtake further behind. Actually, no, Cravato made the move on Isaac on track, who didn't have the battery to compete. As they go into the final chicane, nose to tail. Pushing through the corner, it looks like. The Ferrari did swoop through. A very good job indeed to get that done. Very tight on the inside line at turn 1. Almost cutting the corner and getting a warning. They might have got the warning, we just don't know about it because there's not been 3 given to them yet. That's what you can do. You can get 3 warnings or you get a time penalty. Strike 1. Don't do it again. Strike 2, you gotta not do it again, otherwise you're gonna get a penalty. Strike 3, you get a 3-second. That's just how it is. And actually, a few games ago, if you sped in the pit lane, you'd have got a 5-second time penalty that you could have served in the pit lane at a later point. Now, you get a 10-second time penalty, and you can't serve a 5-second at a time. You have to serve the full 10. It's pretty brutal. But it's the game that you play with that pit lane, and you can't afford to speed. Cravato looks for the second overtake in the second lap as they go to the outside line. Try to fake it for Yellowick and look at the switchback, but they also encounter understeer themselves. And all they've done there is used a bit of battery, and they haven't been able to capitalise on that. Isaac on track, just losing DRS range. So some magnificent pace in the wet conditions in the sprint. Has not quite converted here in the main race. And the medium tyre is not agreeing with them at all. We will see this battle continue, as Terence is leading the Grand Prix. No overtake for now. Terence, we did say, has made that move. And Elway is putting on the pressure, gaining the pace. I'd argue one of the fastest cars out on track right now. But still in a very poor situation, considering the rivals around them. We're excited to see what Elway can achieve. Yanaldi can achieve with their strategy. It's going to be a tricky one. Elway can follow their teammate to the end, but with a 10-second time penalty, it's severely looking like it will sway in one direction. go back to Cravato and Yellowek for the closest battle on track, although no overtakes will be made for a fair few laps yet. You know, he isn't exactly far away. They could look at making a move here with the battery that they've got. Just a bit too far away to actually make it by the time they get through Chapel Corner though. So they will just have to wait behind. Could we see Cravato get a good run? Turning on the battery all of a sudden is Yellowek. And I don't think it's going to be possible. These cars are just a bit too slippery in a straight line it seems today. All the moves have to be made at the start or in the corners. And the F1 drivers from yesterday were right. It's just so difficult to overtake regardless of condition. And I mean, they are LSI F1 drivers. They do have some experience. Do know what they're talking about. The top three now together as Elwain has gained that DRS. Finding a rhythm as they can, regardless of what is going on in the bigger picture of the race. Very close to track limits on the exit of Copse Corner. A lovely camera angle to get a good view of that. We will check in very shortly with Cravato to see if they're going to try and go for some sort of move. This trio will stay as they are. Here it is, Cravato and Yellowek. DRS being used, being blasted once more as they're on the attack, but just not enough. Once again, finding a massive chunk of understeer through Stowe Corner. That seems to be catching out a lot of cars today. It's a corner that you don't really brake for at all. And if you do, it's not much. So that's where the DRT air will really be magnified. And you will struggle. Top three are now super close. And they are looking to put the pressure on each other. That is the lap car of Chuchus coming up now as Petri goes into the pit lane once more. For the final time of the Grand Prix. That's Elwain pushing the limit as they go off circuit. Will we see Terence get DRS? No, we will not. So it is going to be full attack to the driver from Hong Kong, but they have a very strong middle sector which prevents them from being overtaken in the later part of the lap. However, Elwain is also strong in that middle sector. Yanaldi just does not have it. They've got it in the first sector, but it's not good enough. Ooh, a big chunk of understeer. It's actually Elwain back into the pit lane, and they're looking for a bit of a crazy scenario as they try and go for an undercut on Yanaldi, which I'm not entirely sure why. They could have secured a P2, but now they're serving their time penalty instead. They're going to lose the position to Cravato and Yellowek. and they're going to have to fight for position with Rinaldi. That is an interesting call, and that was almost game over. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. First of all, what a save. What car control, but also that was close. Yellowek almost found themselves facing the wrong way around. Cravato almost found themselves with no front wing. They get through it together, even if Yellowek was not aware that they did just get through it together. But that's as close as it gets, and that is car control at its finest, and I would say more emergency car control. That is Isaac on track, who's had an issue on track on the exit of the pit lane. A momentary yellow as they've gone for another pit stop. Simon S has done so as well. Elway now has no time penalty. Now, am I delusional? Or are we going to see no more pit stops from Terence? Rinaldi, however, on the other hand, does go into the pit lane. We did expect this. Will it be a second set of mediums? It has to be a second set of mediums, surely. Surely. And it is. There it is. The fresh rubber to the end versus Elwayne. It's going to be very, very beneficial towards Rinaldi. They've also not had to wait that 10 seconds. So now, they're miles ahead. That is unfortunately due to just having an issue as they go off the circuit. It does allow Yellowek and Cravato continue their battle without any problems from a ghost car. Terence leads by 11 seconds. Rinaldi needs to put the laps in, put the pressure on, as it was about half a second that Elwayne gained in the end on Rinaldi. Maybe a bit more than that. About a second, let's say. But really, that is just mind-boggled me. I thought they would have risked it to go to the end with that 10-second time penalty. And looking at the timings right now, they would have had a very, very good go at taking P2. Almost guaranteeing themselves that that P2 will not be the case. And we will see DRS there just for a moment for Rinaldi to help them out, as they are very fortunately placed around the circuit relative to the ghost car, who dives into the pit lane once more, just on that medium tyre. Everybody looking to score a point as long as they finish this race right now, which is very good going. This is the closest battle out on track. We will wait to see how this plays out. If these two fight it out later on, it might allow Rinaldi to catch up. If they don't fight it too hard and they take the race as long as they can towards the end to then fight it out, they can secure the P2 and 3. All of a sudden, Terence will look at gaining 4, 6, 8, 10 points on their championship rival, Elwayne, and the gap would be 4 points going into Australia. That would just be spectacular. And I did not expect I'd be saying that. Rinaldi would also close up on the championship leader in that case, and so would these two. As Cravato is still trying to find a way past, but right now Yellowek is controlling the Ferrari driver, and that Ferrari is going to have to get creative if they want to make the move by the time we get to the end of the Grand Prix. That is a very aerodynamically efficient Sauber car that isn't going to be easy to overtake. You can see the Ferrari is so close, and they might just have a look at making a move. But when will it be? You think it'll be now, but it's not. And if it's not now, it might be never. Staying out would be the best case indeed, but it's happened now. Terence continues to extend their gap, and you're surely thinking now they've got to just save tyres. A 12-second gap is more than good enough. They're multiple corners in front of the rest of the field. And that is a very close Ferrari. The grid is currently spread out. We've got Terence in P1 on lap 21. We've got Yellowek in P2 and Cravato putting that pressure on to battle it out with the Sauber. Yinaldi in P4 on a very different strategy, looking at the two-stop from the opening lap. On the medium tyre, they're going qualifying mode all the way to the end. Elwain in a similar scenario. They had, unfortunately, a 10-second time penalty that they then served. But we're going to have to check in on this battle, as it is going to be an overtaking opportunity for the first time in a long time. They switch it to the left-hand side, and they almost ended up ending it. Going off the circuit is Yellowek, and they just got it back on track. I don't know if that was a reaction to the almost catastrophic collision that they just had. And the Ferrari understeered, under braking, applying those brakes a little bit too hard, not getting the turning power that they needed. And that was a moment that can make you feel quite dizzy. You just saw everything flash before your eyes. And I'm sure Cravato had a bit of a raised heartbeat there. Wow. Now they're going to have to try and go again, and this time, if they can keep it a bit tighter to the inside line, they might be able to get a switch back in the following corners. That's their target move, it looks like. Lap 22 out of 26. And we were saying about how Elwain's in a similar situation, but on the hard tyre. Then it's Simon S in P6. We've got Isaac on track, followed by Petri on debut, who's looking at scoring more points, and then Chuchas a bit further behind. You can just see in the picture up in front of this battle that will continue. Terence leads the way. 14.9 seconds now is the gap, as we saw a bit of a ding-dong between the two cars behind. They lost a bit of time from that. That only allowed Yinaldi to catch up even more. And believe it or not, Yinaldi is going to have a chance at getting that P2 back after all. There we get Petri going just through the order with Isaac on track, who had their issues earlier on. They've got a few seconds to try and catch that Simon S, but that's going to be a tall order at this stage. Elwain there, 12.2 seconds. Yinaldi is the fastest car on track, going absolutely rapid right now, 2.9 seconds away from the battle in front. Now, looking at the fastest lap here, Elwain has it from earlier on, but still right now at this current moment in time, Yinaldi has to be the fastest car on track. 2.8 seconds they have to Cravato. What they're hoping for is that their tyres are going to last long enough to get them to the battle in front, and then be able to actually make that move, because what we've seen so far is Yellowek is a very quick car in a straight line. And if you can't utilise the tyre compound that you have right now, then you're just going to be stuck behind for good. Now 16 seconds for Terence as they continue to pull away on the rest of the field. And I want to have a quick check-in for a tyre cam. How's it going with Terence? Look at those tyres. They are not great at all, are they? looking pretty rough. We'll see through the chicane how they're looking when the tyres do slow down. That's Cravato getting a 3-second time penalty. Devastating in the final laps of the Grand Prix. He did a bit of a better view in the slower corners. And definitely on the fronts, I'll say that front left is not looking easy. The blister on the front right as well. That slightly dull line that they're getting. But they should still make it to the end of the Grand Prix. You'd hope so at least anyway. But there you can see the Aston Martin in the background. They have already made the move on time penalties relative to Cravato. They've still got to make 2 positions though if they want to gain an extra. That's a bit confusing, isn't it? You've got to overtake 2 cars to gain 1 position. It's a little bit harder work than it seems it needs to be, but it's the situation that they're in with the 2-stop strategy. And looking at the grip that they've got, it looks very possible to be done. Oh no! No, no, no! And the commentator's curse strikes again. Yanaldi will not be able to have a chance. They're 3 seconds away. The Dirtiers caught them napping. Yellowek and Cravato have surely just received a get out of jail free card. Cravato still is going to lose that position as long as Yanaldi keeps it in a straight line. But Yellowek could possibly race their way to a very, very nice P2. Oh no, what happened to Elwain? They had a moment as well, a yellow sector on the circuit. And unless that was another car and I'm getting confused, maybe it was Chuchas just in ahead. It was that part of the circuit a moment ago. I mean, doesn't look like they're exactly running easy on the tyres there. A bit of a flick of the car. There it is, Yanaldi, 1.6 seconds. Maybe it's not over just yet. It is a lot more complicated though. There it is. Those rears are so tough. Is that going to be a move done by Yanaldi already? This has to be made. They have to go for the overtake now. Otherwise, it's going to be all over. And the Ferrari allows them to go through in interesting fashion. They do somewhat allow... Oh, what is going on there? Cravato off. Damage. Race almost done. And on the rear ends, they just don't have the grip. 14 laps on these hard tyres, and it's just sending everyone into absolute panic mode. Terence doesn't seem to be struggling so much. Yanaldi's been released here, and Elwain looks at gaining a position back. Incredible. 0.2 of a second to get that DRS, and 1 lap to make the move. Terence begins the final lap of the Grand Prix. Their tyres are going to be toast, but they have time to spare. They don't need to risk anything. DRS range is just about available here for Yanaldi. They need to utilise the first DRS zone to catch up, and then they have to send it into Stowe Corner and maybe the final chicane. That will be the most heated moment of the Grand Prix if it comes to that kind of scenario. Cravato with the damage sees Elwain catch up even more. With the time penalty, it's already a move that's been done. What a shame to see it go like this, but they'll still score 10 points. A brilliant number to be able to take home. It's Terence who's rounding the final few corners. It's Yellowek though who's got that pressure. Will we see any kind of overtaking attempt here from the Aston Martin? Through the left, through the right, back through the left and out of Chapel. It's an understeering moment. It's a problem. Oh, it's Yellowek off the circuit. DRS available. ERS blasted to the line. Inside or outside they will go. They go to the left. Yellow defends the inside. They might be able to do it, but swooping the long way round. Here it goes. Yinoldi, an absolute move of the ages. Can they do it on the brakes? It's not going to be easy. It's as tight as you like. The inside line will surely be the advantage to the south, but there's contact. Oh, wow, wow, wow. They've just about got it done. Yellow fought with all their might. It's P3 for them, but Terence wins the Great British Grand Prix in dominant fashion. 20.426 seconds. A win well deserved. Elwain takes P4 as they overtake Cravato on track. And it's going to be Simon S in P6. Then we've got Isaac on track in P7. Petri on debut scoring some more lovely points. 4 points to their name. And Chuchus will take the 2. Wow. 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 And wow. What a race we've had. All the way to the end with everybody. Just incredible. Terence does have to be respected though today. Because that was one chilled out drive. From pole position to the flag, they did everything they needed to do to give themselves the best chance at not being involved in any trouble. And they did exactly that. A perfect way to finish off the evening from the driver from Hong Kong, or the morning you should really say. It's Terence who wins, Yinoldi in P2 and Yellowek in P3. Then we've got Elwain, Gravato, Simon S, Isaac on track, Petri and Chuchus, everybody finishing the race and scoring some lovely points today. But wow, that final moment there between these two, just spectacular. I want to see the race replay on that one because that is going to be awesome. We'll see you in a bit for the post-race interviews. Hello everyone, welcome to the post-race interviews of the British Grand Prix. That was one hell of a race that we just had. Terence, we start with you. Another win. Third win of the season, the most of anyone so far this season. You've made some brilliant progress on your teammate. I believe that's now 6 points away instead of the 14 it was after the sprint race. That's pretty spectacular. That's a brilliant weekend to be having so far. And, well, not so far. The weekend's done now, rating-wise. Can you take us through it? You had a lot of pressure in the beginning of the Grand Prix, although you were still looking like you were controlling the pace. Later on, it was definitely controlled, I'm assuming.
Um, I think, yeah, I keep controlling my pace nearly, wait, how much? 26 laps, right?
Mm.
I control about 23 or 24 laps.
Wow.
I only push 2 laps there. The 2 laps I pushed is, I think, the lap that I feel the softs are going to run out, so I push 1 lap, so he dropped out DRS.
Mm.
And then the second lap is the lap I overtake him after the pit stop. So not really pushing much because I know that 1 stop must be the faster strategy, but I don't want to cook my tires.
Yeah.
So I and I found myself having a little bit strict line advantage to Yanaldi as well. So I was just focusing on every corner exit and trying to recharge my battery till something like 80% on the long DRS straight. So before Stowe. So
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that I won't be overtaken
Yeah.
in any lap. But it's just a little bit mistakes that I was undercutted by Audi. But I know, okay, soft and medium is must be as 2 stop. It's no way it's a 1 stop. But actually, if he chose soft to hard, it's still way to get a 1 stop work
Okay.
instead of 2 stop. So yeah, just luckily because Wack, he put off very great drive in the quali. So I assume he got the pace, and also Elling, the race pace is actually on par until he kind of disappointed with that 10-second penalty he got in overspeeding in the pit lane. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just lucky to have one guy who start on soft first. So default he's going to a 2 stop instead of a 1 stop, and a guy who competed with me get a 10-second penalty. So I assume that is lucky, but yeah, could be praised a little bit for myself for that management. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say you don't win a race by 20 seconds on luck. So you've done a very good job today, Terence. Well done. I do have a quick question before we stop. What were your tyres there at the end of the race?
I did. Actually, I controlling the pace after I overtake Ian Audi. And the pace would be, let me look at. Wait a minute, I clicked the race director. All the time is after lap 15 would be consistently running 31s.
Mm.
Just some laps I overcharge my battery, so I deploy battery and back to 30.0. Yeah, and the last lap I do 30.4, so it doesn't really that and being out that much, but yeah,
Was there
because
any
I
risk
think
of a puncture?
no, is the last lap would be something around 63 or 64% on the tire wear.
Wow. Wow, that is very good going. So you had a bit more in the tank even. Terence, well
Yeah.
done. That's an absolutely perfect drive from you today. I don't know what to say. It was a drive of a champion, and you brought yourself well back in to the championship fight. So I can't wait to see you in Australia. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
And we move on to Yellowek. Yellowek, that was a very, very long race for you, battling all the way through it. I don't know what to say. Take us through the sprint race as well, but yeah, such a good battle right at the end. I know it's not what you want to see. You don't want to be overtaken at the last moment, but it's still a thrill, isn't it?
Yes, I don't know if I should be happy or jump from my window. Uh, yes, I mean, I was very happy from the sprint because I know I am very, very, very bad wet driver. But conditions were not as wet as I expected them to be. So I think I managed to do P2. Uh, I'm not sure, or P3.
P3 in the sprint race,
Oh,
just some
P3.
masterful defending.
I was still very happy. Yes, I think if Red Bulls would play together, they would overtake me easily. But like, they are championship rivals, so of course they didn't want to. So yes, I had very nice sprint, and then in quali I did pretty. My first lap was pretty bad, and I thought it was very good. But yes, second lap was very good. I mean, I thought it will be P3 because like 13 qualifying because I my third lap was very bad. It was very bad, just slow, and I thought oh my god, I always forgot the names. Second Red Bull driver, yes, Erwin. Erwin, I and Januadi, I know those guys are fast in quali, especially Januadi, and he didn't beat me in quali, so I'm very happy. And I was, to be honest, pretty close to Paul, but it didn't matter. Terence was way faster. Yes, at the start I was very surprised that Januadi wears soft tires. I didn't expect him to do. So yeah, he overtook me, but I thought I will end in front of him because he had to stop, and then I battled from the beginning to the end. Unfortunately, yes, I had very low wings. I think the lowest I had 6-0 wings. I was nearly full on the ERS for entire race.
Yeah, we did
So
notice that you were very quick in the straight line.
yes, I mean, at the end it was unfortunate for me that the Crovat spun because he was my human shield, you know.
Yeah.
I would give him DRS and he would defend from Yanuadi, and then I saw Yanuadi's. I think he made a mistake. He lost 2 seconds. There was, oh, let's go. Crovato has 3 seconds. Yanuadi is 2 seconds behind me. Let's go. P2, P2. Just end it, and on the final lap, I thought only to don't make mistake, and I did make mistake in Magos and Beckett's. I did. I was on the 5th gear and I should be on the 4th, so I went wide. We went wheel to wheel through the stall, and in final chicane I was on the outside. I somehow managed to exit wheel to wheel still, even if he had fresher tires, and I don't know exactly how it looked from other points, but from my point of view, it was like there's this curb, sausage coop on the inside in the final corner. So in front of me was sausage coop, on the left was Januadi, and unfortunately, but I got I think 21 points, so I'm in front of Mark in championship.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
so.
pretty amazing. I think you should be proud of yourself today. In the last few races, to be honest, it's another podium to your name. So don't be disappointed. The racecraft is coming. The experience you're gaining from this close battling as well is just invaluable. So be proud. You've done a very good job today. The adrenaline is in you, and when it doesn't go quite your way in the last second, it can be devastating. But it won't take long. You'll get through it, and you'll be better than ever next time. Thank you very much, Yellowek. Well done today.
Thanks. Very nice to hear.
And that's been it for the race today. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. We will see you next weekend for the Australian Grand Prix. A bit of an upside down one for you. Enjoy the race if you're going to wake up early morning if you're in Europe, wherever you are in the world. It's going to be one hell of a championship race tomorrow. We'll see you in a bit. Bye bye.